The Eagles are chasing a Super Bowl, but there's a storm brewing in Philadelphia. The defense is banged up, the secondary looks shaky, and now insiders are saying Howie Roseman might not be finished wheeling and dealing. Could another blockbuster trade be coming to fix the one weakness that could destroy this team's championship dreams? Let's break it down. Philadelphia fans, buckle up. Because just when you think Howie Roseman is done making moves, he's not. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler dropped a bombshell. The Eagles might still be active on the trade market, and cornerback could be the position that gets attention. This isn't surprising. If there's one thing we know about Howie, it's that he never rests. When other GMs sit still, he's already working the phones, looking for that one player who can tilt the balance of a season. And right now, the need is obvious. Cornerback has become a glaring concern. Look at the situation. Nolan Smith is already on injured reserve, and his absence weakens the pass rush. Without that front pressure, the secondary is left exposed, and it's showing. Adoree Jackson, the guy expected to lock down the outside, has struggled badly in 2025. His Pro Football Focus grades are near the bottom of the league, 145th out of 158 corners overall. Quarterbacks are targeting him, and when they do, they're winning. He's given up 11 catches already and missed tackles that have cost the defense big plays. Behind him, the options are just as concerning. Jacorian Bennett is on injured reserve. McWilliams hasn't been consistent. Keely Ringo is still developing. And Perry Nickerson? He's just been elevated to the active roster, which tells you how desperate the situation is getting. Now, there is hope in the young guys. Quinyon Mitchell has started to show flashes of being a star. In Week 3, he traveled with Davante Adams, that's no small task for a rookie, and held his own. Cooper DeJean has been a weapon in the slot, a versatile piece who can move all over the field, playing safety, hybrid linebacker, or straight corner. He brings energy and toughness, the kind of guy who changes the feel of a defense. But is that enough for a Super Bowl run? That's the real question. Because this isn't about just surviving the regular season. This is about facing elite passing attacks in the playoffs, teams like Dallas with CeeDee Lamb, San Francisco with their weapons, and whoever comes out of the AFC gauntlet. If the Eagles don't shore up CB2, it could be the crack in the armor that keeps them from holding that Lombardi trophy. So, the whispers about another trade? They're more than just talk. They might be the difference between a deep playoff run and another heartbreaking finish. And if history tells us anything, Howie Roseman won't hesitate to pull the trigger if the right opportunity is there. Eagles fans, I want to hear from you. Should Howie Roseman make another trade for a cornerback right now? Or do you trust the young guys like Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean to step up? Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments, because this decision could define the Eagles' season. The Eagles' secondary has been under the microscope all season, and now the numbers tell the full story. Some corners are holding their ground, but others are breaking under pressure. And the reality is this: if Philly wants to win another Lombardi, they can't afford to ignore the weakness at corner. Take Quinyon Mitchell, for example. Against the Rams, he looked like the real deal. Next-gen stats showed he shadowed Davante Adams on nearly 80% of his routes in Week 3. That's superstar-level responsibility, and the rookie stepped up. Adams was targeted 8 times, and Mitchell allowed just 2 short catches for 12 yards when he was the primary defender. The rest of Adams' damage came against someone else. That's lockdown football. That's the kind of corner you build a defense around. But here's the problem: Mitchell can't do it alone. Across from him, the Eagles have been patching holes. Injuries have stripped this secondary thin, and veteran stopgaps aren't cutting it. Adoree Jackson has been struggling badly. Jacorian Bennett is stuck on IR, Keely Ringo is still raw. And the depth behind them isn't exactly scaring anyone. So what now? The Eagles have choices. They could dip into free agency, where names like Stephon Gilmore and Kendall Fuller are still floating around. Gilmore is older, but he's a former Defensive Player of the Year. Fuller has always been solid in coverage. Even someone like Emmanuel Mosley, when healthy, can be a difference maker. Or, they could swing big on the trade market. Howie Roseman has never been afraid to pick up the phone, and the league is full of struggling teams who might be ready to deal. Imagine adding Greg Newsome or Denzel Ward from Cleveland if the Browns stumble. Or maybe Deonte Banks from the Giants, a young corner with raw talent that Philly's coaching staff could develop. Even someone like L'Jarius Sneed, who's stuck in a bad situation in Tennessee, could be a dream fit in green. This is the crossroads. Do the Eagles gamble on what they already have, or do they go all in and trade for another corner to protect their Super Bowl window? So let me ask you, Eagles fans, if you were in Howie Roseman's chair, what would you do? Do you roll with the roster and hope these young corners keep growing, or do you make the aggressive move and bring in a proven name? Drop a T for trade or P for pass in the comments, because this decision could define the entire season. The Eagles just took a brutal hit, and it could change everything on defense. Nolan Smith, one of the most explosive young edge rushers in football, is back on injured reserve. And this hurts. Smith wasn't just another player. He was a rising star. Last season, he went from a rookie with 1 sack to a second-year breakout with 6.5. In the playoffs, he was unstoppable, leading every player in the league with 4 sacks. His speed, his bend, his ability to set the edge against the run, he brought a level of violence and energy the Eagles desperately needed. He was becoming the heartbeat of this defense. But now? The same triceps that he tore in the Super Bowl has flared up again. No surgery is needed, but it's another reminder of how fragile his young career has been. From his college days at Georgia to his first years in the NFL, the injuries keep stacking up. And that puts Howie Roseman in a brutal spot. Smith is extension eligible after this year. Do you bet on his talent and lock him in, or do you hesitate because of the injuries? That's a decision that could shape the future of this defense. In the short term, his absence means others have to carry the load. Zadarius Smith is going to see more snaps. Jix Hunt will be asked to step up. Even guys who were inactive earlier this year, like Azeez Ojulari and Patrick Johnson, might get thrown into the fire. The rotation has to hold, because without Nolan's burst off the edge, this pass rush loses a weapon. That means stars like Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis must take their game to another level. Carter has been inconsistent, flashes of dominance followed by moments where he disappears. Davis, on the other hand, has been playing like a man possessed, wrecking offensive lines and blocking kicks. If the Eagles are going to survive this stretch, Davis has to keep playing at that all-pro level. Then there's the secondary. Jacorian Bennett hasn't been impressing Vic Fangio, and Sidney Brown continues to play out of control, missing tackles he should make. The margin for error is shrinking. One missed assignment, one broken coverage, and this defense cracks. And that's why a name like Trey Hendrickson suddenly becomes interesting. The Bengals might be ready to move on, and Hendrickson has been one of the most consistent pass rushers in the NFL. Imagine him in midnight green, crashing off the edge alongside Carter and Davis. That's the kind of move that turns a weakness into a weapon. So now the question is simple, should Howie Roseman go star hunting again? With Nolan Smith sidelined, should the Eagles make an aggressive push for a proven pass rusher like Trey Hendrickson? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this decision could be the turning point of the entire Eagles season. Here's the reality, Trey Hendrickson could soon be one of the hottest names on the NFL trade market, and the Eagles might be right in the middle of it. The Bengals season is slipping away. Joe Burrow just had turf toe surgery and won't return until December. By then, Cincinnati's playoff hopes could already be dead. Jake Browning isn't getting it done, and this team isn't built to survive without its superstar quarterback. That opens the door for the Bengals to sell, and Hendrickson might be their biggest trade chip. Think about it. No player in the league has more sacks over the last 2 years than Trey Hendrickson. 17.5. He's a relentless pass rusher, a proven leader, and he would fit perfectly in this Eagles defense. If Howie Roseman wanted, he could even extend him and make him part of the long-term core. That's not just a short-term rental, that's a move that could tilt the balance of power in the NFC. But Hendrickson isn't the only name floating around. What about Denzel Ward in Cleveland? If the Browns start losing, they might look to cash in on one of their best defensive backs. Ward is expensive, but he's a shutdown corner who could immediately solve the Eagles' biggest weakness. The decision comes down to this: do you trust guys like Khalil Ringo, Mekhi Williams, and Perry Nickerson to hold down the fort, or do you make the aggressive move and swing for a star? And then there's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the ultimate wild card. He's fiery, emotional, sometimes reckless, but he's also a playmaker who changes games. He's bounced around the league because of that personality, but in the right locker room, he's electric. Imagine him landing in Dallas, fueled by revenge against Philadelphia. Imagine him in Buffalo, chasing a Super Bowl. Or even in Pittsburgh, where Mike Tomlin has a history of managing strong personalities. Wherever he goes, he's going to bring fireworks. So here's the bottom line: the trade deadline could reshape the entire NFC race. Hendrickson, Ward, Gardner-Johnson. These are names that could decide whether the Eagles simply make the playoffs, or storm into the Super Bowl as the most dangerous team in football. What do you think, Eagles fans? Should Howie push all his chips in for a star like Hendrickson or Ward, or roll the dice and trust the young corners to step up? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this decision could change the entire season. Washington could be a sneaky landing spot. It just makes sense. They're fighting to stay in the playoff race, their defense has been shaky, and the safety position has been a weak point all year. Adding a fiery playmaker could give them the edge they desperately need. Don't sleep on Dallas either. Jerry Jones has never been afraid to gamble on players with question marks, especially if it means plugging holes on a defense that's been torched these past 2 weeks. And imagine the chaos if they brought in a player fueled with emotion, ready to face Philly twice a year. That would be pure fireworks. Then there's Buffalo. The Bills need help on defense if they want to keep their Super Bowl dreams alive. Their secondary has been inconsistent, and a hard-hitting, emotional player could give them exactly the jolt they're missing. Now, on the Eagles side of things, the running back situation keeps fans guessing. Will Shipley is still sidelined with that nagging oblique injury. He hasn't played since week 1, and it's strange that he hasn't been placed on IR yet. That means the team still believes he can come back soon, but for now, he's unavailable. Tank Bigsby was tested as a return man, but it didn't work. He struggled badly, and Philly has already added a new returner. That door might be closed. On the bright side, A.J. Dillon has been carving out a role. Coaches trust him in pass protection, and he's been solid when his number is called. Of course, Saquon Barkley remains the workhorse, carrying the load and setting the tone. And then there's Desmond Watson. This is fascinating. The Buccaneers just re-signed the 464-pound defensive tackle to their practice squad, and it's no coincidence. Tampa Bay has been one of the few teams in the NFL that can consistently slow down, or even stop, the Eagles' unstoppable tush push. Think about this: Vita Vea already clogs up the middle like a brick wall. Now imagine pairing him with Watson, a man who nearly fills the entire screen when you look him up. That's over 900 pounds of pure force stacked against Philly's offensive line. Todd Bowles might just unleash both on Sunday to try and wreck the Eagles' signature play. The chess match is already in motion. Philadelphia's identity is the brotherly shove. Tampa Bay might be the only team in football willing to fight it head-on with sheer size and strength. Eagles fans, what do you think? Could the Buccaneers actually be the team built to finally stop the tush push? And if so, do you think Philly needs to adjust their game plan? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know how confident you are heading into this matchup.